Hi, this is Robbie Thomas, Bay Area Downsizer. The market has slowed down considerably nationwide. There are 500,000 more sellers than buyers, and the entire equilibrium has shifted. And you could see that in most markets, houses are sitting on the market for 2, 3, sometimes even 6 months before they take it off the market because the sellers are enraged because the buyers are not stepping up. And the buyers are not in a position to make a qualified offer because of various market conditions, personal situations, and other macro events. So let's get into see how you could, as a potential home seller, sell your house fast in any market, especially in a slow market like this one. Let's get into it. Let me look at my notes here. So here's the main thing. You have the power of choice as a home seller because you are under no compulsion to sell immediately unless you want to sell. Now, the reason you want to sell is because you have already contemplated, you've spent at least 3 to 6 months figuring out that you need another place to move to. If you're downsizing, you're moving from a bigger house into a smaller house, or a life event has happened right now where you have to move into another location. But even that have to move, you do have a choice as to how to make your transition as smooth as possible for yourself. So let's get into that. So let's look at as an overview, everyone has the power to choose and make decisions. A buyer knows how to make a decision, the seller knows how to make a decision if they both are educated by somebody who's able to guide them, educate them, and help them. Okay, so now the next thing is everyone has the power to choose, but a true decision involves committing and cutting off other options. Let me explain that. So, first thing is when you're presented with the idea of selling, you get bombarded with a whole lot of people giving you suggestions, online information. This is how you do it. A lot of people giving you a free advice, your friends from your community, your colleagues, your peers, your children, your family. Everybody has an opinion, but you are bearing the burden of making that decision. So, increasing the frequency of making that decision is what gets you faster into that mode of selling. So, the next one is successful people make decisions more often and act quickly. Yes, most people who are very very successful in the things that they have achieved, whether it is housing in this case which we're talking about, or anything in life, whether it's their marriage, whether it's their choice of a job or moving a location or any decision in life, the most successful ones are the ones who make the most decisions fast. They fail faster, they learn faster, and they move faster. So the next one is delaying decisions is seen as the enemy of progress, uh, and it does not help you build wealth. As every time, sometimes you're forced into a situation where you have familial obligations and you cannot move. That's why your career has to take a setback. But let's say you don't have that situation where you're not bound by anything which is forcing you to stay back. You can always move forward with making more decisions that help you get to make more bad decisions faster. You learn from them and you recover faster and move on. Then reflecting on past decisions help improve future choices. As soon as you make a quick decision and you've made a mistake, let us say, not saying every time you make a mistake, but suppose you make a mistake, you stop, pause, you reflect on that mistake, you develop a better habit, you change your thought process, and you make a new decision again. The next one is adjusting based on outcomes is crucial for growth. So, the biggest problem with procrastination is fear of failing. Now, you don't give that fear any power by not feeding it. The way you do it is to avoid perfectionism. Perfectionism is an enemy of doing anything, or it creates a fear in you that you're not able to perform because you're afraid of the outcome even before it has taken shape and it has been acted on. So just doing Good enough is good enough to start, make a decision, make a mistake, learn from that, and you avoid procrastination. So there is a story this year, 2025, February of 2025, where I had a listing appointment. The price that we agreed upon was 1.599 million to a single family home. And I presented the value proposition. I presented the marketing, the process, and the value was agreed upon. And what happened after the listing appointment was the seller would not pick any phone call from me, avoided me, and and was trying to delay the decision making process. And here's how I'm going to tie the story to what happened. Is the next day I called him again, texted him again, and he said that he has to discuss with another family member. So I waited for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks went by. I kept following up every week, at least twice a week, but I didn't get an answer. A month and a half or two goes by, and I see the property listed on the market with a completely different realtor at a completely different price. Well, here's what happened. They listed it for a lower price. They had not understood the market situation. The way it was presented was not according to what I had said. And every few weeks, they kept dropping prices because the market had already shifted towards the buyer's side, but still was not able to sell. No fault of the house, great school district, great location, beautiful parks, wonderful location, priced right. But their delay in decision making because they did not tell me the whole truth. They did not take my advice. They finally sold it 3, 4 months later, recently, 550,000 lower than asking. This is a real story that happened recently. And after the close of that, after the house was sold, I called the seller again and I asked him, why did you not listen to me? And he explained that he was so confused by the family's input into the decision making process that he got confused and went with what the family wanted to do and not what I had discussed with him at the listing appointment. So, case in point being, any delay in or indecisiveness in making a decision will cost you. In this particular case, the seller lost a potential 550,000 in actual real realized equity in their bank account. Well, just a simple example. The next one is if um, you have made a decision to actually making a move, the first thing you should do is to remove all clutter inside the house. And most of the times, it leads to procrastination because you don't know what to keep and what to throw. The best thing is to involve, whether it is me as your realtor or anybody else who you trust, get them into the conversation. They will provide you a list of all the things to keep and not to keep, and then with boxes, you label them, and you can always have a box for miscellaneous items. And then you put them into a storage unit if you really want to see, keep the items before you make the move, short term storage unit. And then you get rid of all the things that you don't need, keep the house as empty as possible so that there can be touch ups, there can be some staging, it can be ready for photography, it can be ready for marketing, it can be ready for showing. Showability is one of the biggest problems in real estate because if it is owner occupied and it is unkempt or not clean or it has odors, buyers tend to not go into that house. They avoid it. In this declining market, there's all the more reason for them to avoid getting into the house. Just putting it on the MLS and doing an open house does not sell homes anymore. It really requires hard work. It requires custom marketing. You have to find the real buyers ready, willing, and able, hiding behind multiple screens and data aggregators before you can move them physically into the house and evaluate the condition of the house. So overcoming these important things, very important. So success in itself is linked to making more decisions and acting swiftly, and not necessarily making perfect decisions. So fear and your pursuit of perfection actually, excuse me, hinders the process more, and that makes you make bigger wrong decisions because you're delaying the process. So when you see a problem like the slowdown in the real estate industry, you look at all the neighborhood houses on the market, sitting on the market for more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you immediately take a decision. You accelerate during a turn, as you see in the Grand Prix or any racing, in the Grand Prix and in the racing scenario. The best way to overtake your opponent is to accelerate during the turn. So here's my um, two bits to you, which is, if you are a seller, do not be afraid of the market, do not be afraid of anything. Take a decision, accelerate in the direction you want to go, which is to sell the house, price it right. I will help you with that, free, no obligation whatsoever. Call me at 510-374-2264, Bay Area Downsizer.com.